Hiring AI talent is hard. What you're about to hear is a real call with one of our customers. For privacy, we've replaced their video with an AI avatar. But the conversation is 100% real.
Okay, so, well, nice to meet you guys. I'm looking forward to understanding how, of course, you can help us recruit, right? This is probably the biggest issue. We have a lot of ambition, looking a lot into the AI space and bringing innovation to our product line on top of it, right? And of course, having great talent is critical.
So yeah, I mean, that's our specialty. So happy to work with you on this. So I'll give you a quick background on us. Tesoro AI, we launched probably like 2020 in the pandemic, right when we first got started. And the business was originally a software development shop building AI products. And as we worked with, private equity, venture capitalists, and some of the portfolio companies, everyone was like, great, we have the product, but what we really need is the talent, right? And so we started to prioritize the talent. I would love to just learn more about what you guys are building and what the ambition is.
Yeah, absolutely. I can cover that. I had mixed experience. I'll be very honest and transparent. I had mixed results with recruiting companies in the past. So I truly want to understand what your approach, and maybe even secret sauce is. What do you do differently? And the type of talent, maybe touch on examples, the type of talent that you can tap into, right? We have internal recruit, so I also need to sell this internally. What do you add on top of our own recruiters?
We, in a lot of cases, work on the roles that are harder to fill, right? Okay. As you mentioned, most times, companies, our clients already have a recruiting team, and for whatever reason, it just becomes very challenging. Sometimes they just have other tasks that they have to do related to HR that are not recruiting and just need a helping hand to go find the specific talent that the team needs. And then quite frankly, it's a competitive market. So how do then you find those kind of the diamond in the rough that's going to fit from a cultural perspective, from a skill perspective, and language barriers, right? And so that's where we come in. In many cases, we're brought in when it's like, hey, look, we need someone who's a specialist within this AI space so we can get roles filled. And so I think that's where we end up adding the most value to the team, because we do specialize in AI talent across Latin America. And that's not just like the data scientists, the machine learning engineers. We also work with the developers, right, who are also critical as it relates to building and deploying AI products, as well as technical project managers, product managers. So anyone who is touching AI, we essentially were capable of sourcing that talent. So that said, our secret sauce, and we kind of built ourselves this way from the beginning. We wanted to have a more in-depth understanding of what the needs are for companies who are building AI. And a lot of this comes out of us having a software development shop in the beginning. All of our recruiters themselves learn how to code, right? So in our conversation, right, it's not just a boilerplate conversation with the developers, right? So all of them are in some way involved in creating, being builders themselves. So understanding the terminology, the focus. What I found is that we're better able to find top talent because of that. And so that's part one. Part two, right? We just have better ways to source actual talent. So we're not posting a job and then trying to see who comes to us. You could do that yourself. Probably seen all the candidates who are actively looking for jobs. What we find from a sourcing perspective is we actually have to get out there and identify the individuals who fit not just the job requirements, like the must-haves, but also like these other things that are nice to have, but if they did have it, this is like that unicorn candidate that we're looking for, right? And so that's what we do. And we don't simply rely on AI to do all the work. There's another critical element to this, especially for top talent, is we have to actually, I don't want to say sell them, but talk to them about the actual role and what they'll be doing and what they should be excited about regarding the role, so that they enter the process, putting their best foot forward, and quite frankly makes the company's role easier as it relates to onboarding or attracting new talent. So those are some of the things that we do. The other thing is part of the assessment. When we do our upfront assessment with our candidates, we're presenting you with the 5 best that we've come across, right? And then we'll provide you with their weaknesses, strengths, and places where you should double click in your interview process so you better understand. So there's a more in-depth assessment that you get versus, here are 5 candidates, let us know what you think.
Yeah. Super interesting. A couple of double clicks here. How do you get to the people that are actually demonstrating this behavior? Because I think this is a critical point.
Yes, we do. So that's the other benefit, right? Our recruiters are in the tech space, but I would say we take it to another level in just the conversations we're having, because anyone can be a part of a community. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're engaged in the community, right? So we're taking it to the next level by understanding, all right, if you say, I'm interested in being a machine learning engineer, okay, well, what kind of machine learning engineer? Do you want to be production focused or are you more research focused? If you say you're research focused, talk to us about some papers that you've read. Talk to us about some of the new kind of moonshot ideas that you hope reach production phase within the next couple of years. Nice. And so we're taking that extra step to validate someone's experience. If they say, hey, look, I want to be production focused. Okay, well, let's talk about, some of the cycles that you've been through, right? Have you been through a couple dev cycles where you've been able to see some of the challenges that you face putting an AI product into production? And, in not all cases is that skill necessary, but you're just getting a better insight into how the person thinks, processes information, solves problems. And so we basically take the things that would be critically important to you beyond just the, must-have type things. We're trying to dig in our phone calls with the candidates to make sure that they're going to be a good fit.
Amazing. That's critical. This is the issue we're facing. If you think about traditional engineers, or even cloud engineers more recently, their roles are already well defined. These professionals work for companies, they have track records. But now, we're looking for people who are managing agents, building on top of LLMs, and solving new engineering problems that are only just emerging. Most of these challenges haven't even been defined yet. We're defining them as we speak. And that's the hardest part of finding these people. Otherwise, it's a matter of bringing them on board and either being lucky or failing miserably. This requires deep technical expertise because we're dealing with mission-critical aspects of integration. But it also demands a curiosity mindset. Engineers who can rethink the status quo, think outside the box, and leverage what already exists in new ways. These are the profiles we're searching for. We're calling this role the AI engineer. There's really no other way to describe it.
We have an academy where we're training. So this, I didn't tell you about the entire umbrella of companies that we have, but we have a quantum academy program where we're training young professionals in how to become AI automation engineers. And it's like, all right, you're creating a new category. So now the naming conventions and what the person is actually supposed to be doing, it's like, this is all new. This is all new.
Absolutely. It's been very challenging, but we've managed to bring in some great people. Now we need to expand quickly and bring more talent on board. You've mentioned Latin America several times. So is your business primarily focused on Latin America? Or do you position it as a Latin-based company? How does that work? You also operate in the US, I assume.
So technically, right, Tesoro AI is a US company.
Okay.
They were registered in the US. We primarily, probably 80% of what we do in terms of recruiting is Latin America focused, right? So, international companies, software development shops, startups who want to look toward LATAM as a region for talent, we help them, we bridge that gap. Now, sometimes in the case of like an international company, they have both. They have LATAM talent, they have US, and we can help with both of those. Where we niche down is our focus on talent that has exposure and expertise in AI.
Looking broadly, we see a large demand for AI engineers. In our view, and I'd like to hear yours, these are seasoned software engineers. They may come from a Java or JavaScript background, often as back-end engineers. They've moved into AI projects, started experimenting, developed a point of view, and invested in learning more. Some may have explored data science as an adjacent field, though they're not pure data scientists. And honestly, I don't think that's what we need. We already have those profiles. It's something different. From an engineering perspective, the challenge is how to expose yourself to concepts that were once very separate. Now there are gray areas, and you need to keep learning to navigate them. Engineers who allow themselves to learn new concepts and apply solid engineering practices are the ones we need. They understand how to build agent architectures, how agents communicate, and how to improve their accuracy using the right techniques. They're willing to challenge ideas, sometimes saying, "No, this approach won't work," or insisting, "We need fine-tuning here because the dataset is too complex." They bring practical insights from daily discussions into their work, and that's exactly the type of profile we're looking for. In our framework, L1 represents junior engineers, L2 mid-level, L3 senior. But for these roles, we're specifically seeking L4 and L5 senior resources.
Define what, so would the search be for senior, L4, L5? What does that mean for you in terms of an experience perspective? Like, how do you, if you see L4 and L5, better question, if you see a candidate, how do you know that they're L4, L5?
We're building a career ladder, which will make it easier to define roles. In my view, the behaviors look like this. L4 engineers, independent, experiment-driven, technically strong, connected to new ideas, and able to deliver results. L5 engineers, system thinkers, capable of managing multiple experiments, identifying dead ends, guiding strategy, and challenging leadership with clear reasoning.
Yeah. Do you have, now I know we talked about titles are kind of, difficult to define now, but if we were to communicate with that person, L5 is a different profile from L4. Have you thought about a title that you would like to give those two roles?
We're considering L5 as a staff engineer and L4 as a lead, if I'm not mistaken. I can confirm that. What's your hiring model? Is it traditional recruitment, fee-based, or do you offer any warranties to ensure the right fit? How does that process work?
So we got two models. One is the direct placement model. The other is the staff augmentation. Staff augmentation is where HR, we would basically put them on, we would handle the payroll, whatnot. Sounds like because these are intended to be full-time, long-term members of the team, you're probably going to want, and correct me if I'm wrong, but sounds like you want direct placement model, which is we operate on a success fee. So we're not charging a retainer. Essentially, when you hire the candidate and they start on their first day, that's when our fee for services will kick in, right? And then so standard direct placement model, we look at what's the cash compensation for that particular hire for 1 year, and then we charge a 20% fee for that. And that fee would be due when that person starts their first day. Beyond that, what we would do is, let's say a month beyond, you decide, actually, this person isn't a fit. We would go find a new placement for you. We wouldn't charge anything. We would just go find that person. And we could extend those terms to the first 90 days for the candidate that you actually hire.
Perfect. I'm exploring different options because I want to move quickly, but it's extremely difficult to find talent right now. The fact that you can help us with that is amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know, the recruiting team, it breathes a sigh of relief a lot of times when we come in because they just don't have, quote unquote, 40 hours a week to be searching for candidates. So we do it. So yeah, I can share some more information with you regarding the services, regarding some of the case studies, and then, let me know what next steps would be.
Amazing. Thank you so much and nice to meet you.